There was just this dread, and it just kind of made my stomach kind of turn a little bit.
Immediately, I felt this energy. It feels like somebody is standing directly in front of me, like we'd be looking eye to eye.
Don't you see him? The man!
My heart literally felt like it went to my stomach.
There was nobody in there. And he's like, that's the haunted room. I was shaking. I honestly didn't know what we were gonna find.
All of a sudden, I did feel like something was watching me.
As I turned the corner, I came face to face with something that scared me to death.
I will never forget that sound.
Almost like something angry had its grip around me. I can't even say that scared was a feeling anymore. It was just, I was terrified.
I just wanted to get out of there.
The screaming, I will never forget it. I hear it now, today.
At a long-term care facility for elderly patients, Paige Mitchell works the night shift as a personal support worker.
A personal support worker is someone that looks after the elderly if they're in a long-term care home or a hospital setting. I love being a personal support worker because it's nice to know that people are taken care of properly. It's gratifying for me because it's like, what if they were my grandmother? I'd want them to have the best care they could have.
There we go. Thank you. All set.
A lot of my residents didn't have family, so they were very much alone. If I had known that my resident was about to pass away, I would make sure that I was there with them so they weren't alone. A lot of my shifts were holding the hands of residents that were about to pass.
It's okay. I'm right here. I'm right here.
It was very heart-wrenching work. It took a lot of toll on me emotionally. But at the end of the day, it wasn't about me. It was about this resident not passing away alone. You know, and I would make sure they felt loved and welcomed and that it was okay to pass.
It's all right. It's all right.
On this night, Paige is assigned to an unfamiliar wing for the first time.
I had heard rumors about Wing 2 on the night shift. Most PSWs refuse to work down that wing at night. They said it's just a weird feeling and we don't like working there. I honestly thought that maybe they were just tired or exhausted from night shift after night shift. I just kind of shrugged it off and was like, maybe it's just a resident that's, you know, not nice at night.
Paige will soon realize that those rumors should not be brushed off so easily.
Do you smell smoke?
There was a slight, faint smell of smoke, which was out of the ordinary.
Something's burning.
I think we should go check it out.
Yeah, let's take a look.
We should investigate this and make sure that, you know, nothing's wrong.
It's gotta be coming from somewhere.
Yeah, no, it's gotta be something. I'm gonna go this way.
I'll check upstairs.
Paige heads up to the offices on the second floor. No one should be there after hours.
The hallways were darkened at night. Not even 5 seconds later, I went cold. It almost felt like the entire room dropped its temperature. All of a sudden, I did feel like something was watching me. Nothing was there, but I still felt very afraid and like something was staring at me. It did start to occur to me that something else was there, but darkness plays tricks on your eyes, so I couldn't believe fully that there was something, but I still felt very unnerved.
Did you find anything?
Nothing.
Figured that nothing was burning and it was just an odd smell. So we went back to the nurse's station thinking, you know, this is weird.
Listen, there's always something creepy down there.
What do you mean?
It's just a feeling, you know?
Every part of me didn't want to know anymore. It didn't want to find out. I just wanted to leave it alone. That feeling of being watched did not go away. I was still feeling like I was being watched while I was taking care of my resident.
How are you? Feeling better. Good. Look, we got some fresh linens for you.
As in the middle of changing my resident,
Yeah, page 9.
the second that shadow passed the doorway, I experienced the worst feeling I've ever had in my life.
I'm great. Yeah, page 9.
I couldn't move.
Great.
Thank you so much for coming. Nice to see you.
I started to feel like I wasn't me.
Paige?
Something had pretty much taken over me. Tried to move my own limbs, I couldn't. It felt like somebody was holding me down, almost like something angry had its grip around me. I can't even say that scared was a feeling anymore. It was just, I was terrified. I tried to move my own limbs, I couldn't. And it felt angry. And I believe that's why I felt so scared, was because I felt someone around me, holding me, preventing me from getting to my resident.
Paige?
I started to feel petrified, like I wasn't me. The outside, I was paralyzed, and the inside, I was screaming at the top of my lungs. This thing, whatever it was, could hurt me.
This spirit might have been deliberately trying to put her in a state of fear and intimidation so that the energetic output of her system was higher, therefore an energy that the spirit could draw off of like a battery. Paige was exposed to so much of this spectral energy that it simply overloaded her system. You know, it sent her into convulsions. You know, she's crying because she's trying to release this energy, which she doesn't know how to process.
Paige, snap out of it!
Her coworker cannot see the entity and is alarmed to see Paige paralyzed in fear.
Paige, snap out of it! Paige! 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 Hey! Paige! Paige, snap out of it! Hey! Hey! Paige! You okay?
What got me back was my coworker squeezing my shoulders and calling my name. The moment I came to, I took a deep breath, almost like I hadn't breathed for a while.
Why are you okay?
I don't...
What's going on? Where are you going? Hey!
Just ran by him and needed to get out of that room and to see if there was anything in that hallway.
Don't you see him?
See who? The man!
My heart literally felt like it went to my stomach.
The man! The man!
When I looked behind me, nothing was there, but I still felt very afraid. She said that he's calling himself the man. And that's when I started to just go crazy inside. I felt very confused. It was hard for me to make it through for the rest of the shift. I wanted to run. Every part of me told me, get out of this building. There's something wrong.
Paige returns to the nursing station and tries to calm herself.
I need to stay for my residents, but everything inside me still told me, like, you need to get out of here. About 20 minutes later, a call bell rang, which shows us what room is calling and what bed is calling.
What's wrong?
The bed that was calling was the bed that I was standing at when I had gone through my trance. Everything in my body told me, don't do it. Do not go back down that hallway. This resident potentially needs my help. I need to do my job. This resident was nowhere near a state of where we needed to keep an eye to see if she was going to pass away. She was very functioning, very lively resident. She was completely fine. It felt like the longest hallway I'd ever walked in my life. And the entire time I was walking it, I felt like eyes were on me. Something was hovering over me.
Rita? Rita? Hey. Rita? Jacob? Jacob? I don't know what happened, but she's dead. She was fine 20 minutes ago.
This doesn't make any sense.
How was this woman able to press a call bell seconds before she passed?
I have no idea.
There's no possible way.
What do we do?
I guess we just take care of the body for now.
So we had no idea why she passed. There was no signs, no signals. All of a sudden, I went cold. My heart went back into my stomach. The feeling of being watched intensified a lot more. I felt very terrified.
I believe we do have a layer of spiritual protection. Spirits, guardian angels, that protect us from things from this other realm. But if we're in severely weakened state, if we're near death, there might be entities that can come and sap our life force, our prana, to the point of death. I think in this case, this might have been an entity who has come to escort the recently departed to the other side.
It wasn't until actually later that night that I had believed that everything connected. Due to the passing of my resident, I decided to see if I was crazy. I opened up the computer and I searched the man. I wanted to know if this was a legend, if this was just a thing that happened. I wanted to know an answer. Third one down said something called the Soul Taker. As soon as I clicked the link of the Soul Taker, everything shut off. The lights. As soon as that happened, my heart went back into my stomach, and again, I wanted to run out of that building because something just wasn't right. I Google searched the man again. No results found. I had typed in the exact same thing that I had typed prior to seeing the Soul Taker.
No results for the flu mask.
It almost felt like whatever was watching me didn't want me to do anything that I was doing. And it just felt like whatever was watching me had it out for me. Like they wanted me to leave. The remainder of my shift, I stayed away from Wing 2. I went down Wing 1, and I just restocked everything and just tried to stay on that wing for as long as I could. I was very shaken up for the rest of the shift. I double-checked my steps. I looked over my shoulder. I had the flashlight with me everywhere I went. I didn't want to be in the dark alone. I don't really tell this story a lot. Every fiber in my body tells me just to leave it, go away, don't tell it again. It was the only time that I had ever just cried after a shift. It was the worst shift I had ever worked. I was able to get myself home. I couldn't sleep. This has stayed with me ever since. I can't forget it. The feeling does not leave me. I'm still terrified to this day.
Death is a daily reality in hospitals, so stories of paranormal events are not uncommon. But older hospitals run by the church hold a special place for close encounters of the ghostly kind. Christina is a veteran nurse who works in palliative care with dying patients.
I really like giving and caring for people, especially when it's such a difficult time in their life.
Christina works at an old hospital founded by an order of nuns.
The sisters still have an impact on the hospital. There's statues. Things like that just let you know that the sisters have a presence there. When I started nursing, I was in a very old hospital, and I worked with a nurse who used to be able to sense things, to see things. And she told me that whenever we worked together, there was always a lot more activity. I knew where she was coming from because I usually did sense things. When I left that hospital and then went to this hospital, I felt like there's certain spots where somebody was there with you, even though you didn't see anything.
One particular trouble spot is the stairwell on the floor Christina works on.
I was doing rounds, and I was trying to get up to the 4th floor to check in with the unit, see what's going on. Immediately, I felt this energy. It feels like somebody is standing directly in front of me. Feels like we'd be looking eye to eye. I decided to use the back stairwell. When you get to the top, you're in a unit. It's locked. Nobody can get in unless you can swipe in. And it's all dark and the lights are all off. I'm all by myself. And then a call light goes off above a patient door. For a call bell to go off, it needs to be pressed by the patient, but there was nobody in there. I felt a chill go down my spine, and I felt the hair on the back of my neck go up as I looked up and saw that light. Why did this just start going off as I walked by it? I got scared. The main thing on my mind was to get out. And I went over to the palliative care unit. I said, "You're never going to guess what just happened when I went through the unit next to you."
What? The red call light was on, the door was locked, and I know nobody's in there. Well, do you think it's still going off? I don't know. Well, let's go take a look.
I was shaking because I knew there couldn't be anybody in there, but I honestly didn't know what we were going to find. The call light was going off by the bed.
Why won't it turn off? Here. It won't stop.
It was surreal. It just didn't make any sense. And then we called security, and he said, "Is it room number 9?
Yes, it's room 9. Why?
And he's like, "That's the haunted room." I just felt scared.
Fear is such a powerful emotion. All of us have felt fear, but fear is also, it's not just the emotion, it's the high psychic output that's able to imprint itself, almost like a fingerprint, a spectral fingerprint that those of us who are more sensitive to this energy might be able to easily pick up on. We're kind of lending our energy to this phenomenon, so we're reactivating it based on perhaps the emotions we're feeling might be similar to the emotions the spirit expressed at the time of their death.
Later in her shift, Christina is on break and uses the time to calm her nerves.
Usually around maybe 2:30 or 3 o'clock, I would go down to the hospital gym. And you have to go down to the basement. When I do go down there, I would sometimes get in my head and get a little freaked out. When you go to the hospital gym, you're the only one essentially that's in that building. The only way you can get into the hospital gym is if you swipe in. And I thought, what in the world is that? I figured if I call security, he'll just say, it's the water running through the old pipes, but it did not sound like that at all.
Suddenly, the banging stops. Christina decides to go on with her workout.
So distraught. It sounded human, but I knew it couldn't be.
Hi, security. Yeah, there's someone screaming in the basement.
I kept looking back over into that corner, and it was so hard to listen to. It just sounded so anguished, and it's just upsetting to hear because I could feel sadness in the wailing. And I just kept thinking, come on, hurry up. And then as soon as he approached, it stopped. When I saw the security guard coming, I felt such relief.
So you say there's someone screaming down here?
There was. It was coming from in there, but...
For it to stop just before someone else would be able to hear it, I was stunned.
Well, where's it coming from?
I think it might be coming from in there.
I asked him if we could go and check the room attached to the gym. I will never forget that sound. The banging and the screaming, I will never forget it. I hear it now, today. It was almost too much just to stand there listening to it. I just wanted to get out of there. I could feel someone there. I could feel sadness. The security guard starts talking about this story he heard years ago. There was a sister, and she had TB or polio, and so she had to be kept in isolation. And she had to use an iron lung. An iron lung is like an old-fashioned ventilator. So people would be put in the iron lung and only their head would really be out. She hated being by herself. She wanted company. So what she used to do, he said, is she would bang on the walls and she would scream for someone to come and visit her, for someone to come and keep her company.
I think this nun needed a witness to her anguish. She had been in a state of isolation and pain for so long. She needed a human guide to come and show her that she could be set free. Someone that would acknowledge her loneliness and her suffering so she could be set free, so she could be put in a state of peace.
All the hairs on the back of my neck just went right up.
Let's get out of here.
Let's go.
That is exactly what that sound sounded like. It sounded like someone who was just in mental pain, and that is exactly what she would have been. And that was all she could do, was bang on the walls and scream. I felt like it completed the circle. It made sense. And I was able to find out the background. And in my heart, I really know that that is exactly what it was.
To this day, Christina continues to have a connection to the afterlife.
I've always had a strong feeling whenever I'm doing after-death care, like they're right there and they're watching. And it's a strong feeling. We don't want to always have those energies just piling up with us.
About 10 years ago, there was a hurricane that came through Vermont. There did a lot of devastation to a lot of small towns in the area. One of the areas hit very hard was the Waterbury State Complex, which also was home of the Vermont State Hospital. So they had to evacuate that whole building, and nobody was allowed back in the building for a while until they could figure out exactly what was going on, how they were going to get the water cleared out, and what next direction to go into.
With the damaged hospital slated for demolition, Kenny Irish is given an unnerving assignment.
I was working for a bottled water company. They came to us and said, we need you to come to the Vermont State Hospital section and remove every cooler that is in the building. Nobody that ever worked for our company had ever been in this actual building, for the simple fact that the individuals that were housed in there were criminally insane and were psychotic, and we were not allowed in for security reasons, for safety reasons. There were some stories about some horrible treatments that had happened, and then when you think back to it being built and opened in 1890, medicine was very different then. It made it very uneasy for anybody that had to go there to do their job. The building was just old and just desolate looking. Just had a feeling of just kind of dread around it. It just seemed very dead. I waited for the groundskeeper to show up.
Kenny?
Aren't you gonna show me inside? Show me around here?
Not my problem. Good luck finding them. There's no way I'm going in there.
Great.
We didn't know where the water coolers were because we weren't allowed in there originally. It just felt really, really just cold, and there was just this dread that was just like right there, and it just kind of made my stomach kind of turn a little bit. I kind of start hearing kind of like some banging, which was very unusual. There shouldn't be anything in there right now that should be making any type of banging or clanging noises. Then I start hearing something that kind of sounds like chatter, like people kind of talking to each other. It's like a whispering, but yet I couldn't make it out. I was starting to get like really nervous. So I'm just, just talking myself through it, saying, all right, just go up there. There's nobody in the building. There's nothing going on. There's just probably an animal in the building. There's an explanation for this. Actually feeling some relief because I know there's one down, and I know I've got a lot more to do, but at least I'm on a roll now. I'm dealing with, some anxiety from what I've heard and what I've known about the location. The individuals were high risk to themselves as well as anybody else around them. At this point, I was very, very afraid. I just wanted to get out of there. As I go by one of the rooms, I look, and out of the corner of my eye, I see it looks like a figure standing there.
I don't want to
Thinking, okay, that was a person. I just saw a person standing there. The anxiety kind of kicked in and I kind of felt some dread. The only thing that was in the room was a bed that was there for a patient, and there was like some straps hanging off of it, which I'm assuming it was to hold them in place if they needed to.
Here we have a hospital ward that was essentially filled with a lot of depression, a lot of grief, a lot of anger. And when we've got a situation like that, oftentimes the intelligence that is birthed from that situation tends to be very aggressive and tends to mirror the activity and energy that was in the space prior.
My mind started really racing and trying to figure out what I just saw. It was a solid figure. It looked like somebody that was kind of hunched over. I felt panic, a little bit hard to breathe. Just wanted to get out of there.
What?
I just keep going, almost to the door. I'm almost out of this building. As I turned the corner, I came face to face with something that scared me to death. I looked at him and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm an electrician. I've got to meet the groundskeeper here."
You okay, buddy?
I'm getting the hell out of here.
My whole train of thought was, you know what? We don't need this equipment. This equipment can stay here. If they demolish the building, they can demolish the equipment. We're not going back. I'm a Christian, and I do believe that, there is a spirit realm out there, and that there's definitely certain aspects that I don't necessarily understand. Whatever it was an experience that I won't forget, and it's something that I'll be taking with me for a long time.